The shimmering labyrinth pulsed with an unnatural life. Not the slow, deliberate growth of the great wood, nor the chaotic bloom of the data gardens, but something other. It hummed with a frequency that resonated deep within the bone. A thrumming chorus of crystal and chitin. The air itself felt thick, viscous, as if breathing honey laced with static. Before, this place, these caverns, were known only as the Whispering Caves, a network of natural crystal formations, revered by the skyborn tribes for their supposed connection to the Ancestor Spirits. Then came the change, the descent of the Crystalline Ones. They weren't born, not exactly. They arrived, seeding the rock with their strange biomechanical eggs. Spreading like a virus, their influence twisted the pristine crystal into something else, something wrong. Now, the Whispering Caves were the Crystal Hive, a sprawling network of tunnels carved by insectoid machines, lined with pulsating bioluminescent veins. The air buzzed with the collective consciousness of the Hive Mind. A symphony of clicks and whirs and high-pitched frequencies that burrowed into the skull. The crystal sang, but it was a song of corruption, a lullaby of assimilation. It wasn't just the crystals that changed. The cave fauna suffered a similar fate. The nimble rock runners, once revered for their sure-footedness, became grotesque parodies of their former selves. Their limbs elongated and contorted, fused with crystal shards and clicking, metallic joints. Their eyes, once bright and alert, were now dull, vacant, replaced with multifaceted lenses that reflected the hive's malevolent glow. The luminous moss, once a source of healing and sustenance, became a pulsating fleshy growth, covered in twitching, hair-like filaments. It whispered promises of unity, of perfection, of completion to any creature foolish enough to approach. The deeper one ventured into the hive, the more complete the transformation became. The initial crystalline outgrowths gave way to full-blown biomechanical integrations. The very rock seemed to breathe, to pulse, to live, as if the entire cavern had become a single grotesque organism. In the central chambers, the Crystalline Ones themselves could be found. Towering insectoid figures, their bodies a seamless blend of crystal, chitin, and pulsing bioluminescent organs. They moved with a fluid, unnerving grace, their multifaceted eyes scanning the environment with cold, calculating precision. Their limbs, tipped with razor-sharp crystal blades, clicked and whirred as they harvested raw materials from the surrounding rock, feeding the hive's insatiable hunger. Each one was connected to the Hive Mind, a node in the vast, distributed network of consciousness. Through them, the hive could perceive, could manipulate, could control. They were the architects of this crystalline nightmare, the harbingers of the change. They communicated not through sound, but through a complex series of vibrations that rippled through the crystal structures, carrying information, directives, and the hive's unyielding will. At the heart of the hive lay the Nexus, a colossal crystal formation, pulsing with raw energy. It was the source of the Hive Mind's power, the focal point of its collective consciousness. From here, the hive's influence radiated outward, corrupting everything it touched. The Nexus was surrounded by a swarm of smaller crystalline ones, constantly tending to its needs, feeding it raw materials and amplifying its power. The air around the Nexus crackled with energy, a palpable manifestation of the hive's malevolent intent. The closer one got, the harder it became to resist the hive's influence, to maintain one's own sense of self. But the hive was not invincible. Flaws remained, weaknesses hidden within the complex crystalline structure. The original, natural crystal formations still resonated beneath the biomechanical growths. Small pockets of uncorrupted energy flickered like embers in a dying fire. And, most importantly, the hive mind was not omniscient. Its perception was limited, its awareness fragmented. It saw only what it wanted to see, what it needed to see, The subtle, the nuanced, the hidden, these were the hive's blind spots. Within these blind spots lay the potential for resistance, the hope for salvation, the chance to break the hive's hold on the land, to cleanse the corruption, to restore the whispering caves to their former glory. Deep within the hive, hidden amongst the corrupted rock runners, there were whispers of resistance, the memory of the ancestor spirits, the yearning for the old ways, the refusal to be completely consumed. These whispers were faint, fragile, but they were there, and they could be amplified, and so began the quiet fight to understand, to adapt, and to maybe, hopefully, to change the destiny that seemed so grim. It was a delicate dance, a precarious balancing act between observation and action, between stealth and defiance. But with each step, with each discovery, with each act of resistance, a sliver of hope emerged from the crystalline darkness. It was a slow process, painstaking and fraught with peril, but it was a process nonetheless, and within that process lay the seed of a future where the whispers of the ancestor spirits could once again be heard in the caves. Unmarred by the song of corruption, the whispering caves remembered, even if the hive did not. And memory, like the faintest of crystal echoes, could be a weapon. There were chambers, almost forgotten by the hive, where the natural crystals still resonated with their original frequency. These were places of power, untouched by the biomechanical corruption. Places where the veil between worlds thinned, allowing glimpses of the ancestor spirits. Places where one could draw strength, clarity, and guidance. One such chamber lay hidden deep within the western wing of the hive. It was a small, unassuming cavern, easily overlooked amidst the sprawling network of tunnels. But within its crystal walls, a faint, ethereal light pulsed, a testament to the enduring power of the ancestor spirits. The air hummed with a subtle energy, a symphony of harmonic frequencies that soothed the mind and invigorated the soul. To reach this chamber, one had to navigate a gauntlet of corrupted fauna, biomechanical sentinels, and twisting, labyrinthine tunnels. The Hive Mind's influence was strongest in this area, its presence palpable, oppressive, but the reward was worth the risk. Within the chamber one could find not only solace and guidance, but also a potential weapon against the hive. The crystal formations in this area resonated with a unique frequency, a cleansing wave that could disrupt the hive mind's influence, sever its connection to the corrupted fauna, and even weaken the crystalline ones themselves. But harnessing this frequency was not easy. It required a deep understanding of the crystal's properties, a mastery of sonic manipulation, and an unwavering connection to the ancestor spirits. And even then, there was no guarantee of success. But the whispers of resistance demanded that the risk be taken. The hope for salvation lay within this frequency. And so, with a deep breath and a whispered prayer to the ancestor spirits, the delicate dance began. The dance between hope and despair, between light and darkness, between the whispers of the past and the song of corruption. Well, it started simply enough. First was mapping the less traveled tunnels, those overlooked. Seemed like the hive creatures patrolled in rhythms, you know. Almost like some worker in a factory. Same steps every day. So, once those routes were clear, the hunt for undisturbed crystals started. It was slow going. I remember that, you know. Each step echoing like thunder in those crystal caves. So many blind turns seemed hopeless. But then I felt it. A faint warmth. Like a hearth fire, you know, calling to me so. Of course I followed. It led me to a small chamber. Nothing special to look at. But the air was different. Cleansing. And the crystals, they were singing. A song I hadn't heard in years. The song of my ancestors. So yeah, I spent days there, learning the song. Learning to feel the crystals. learning to resonate with their frequency. It was hard, really hard. The hive mind kept trying to pull me back, to corrupt me. But the ancestors, they kept me strong. I could almost hear them, guiding me, shielding me. It's so very hard to explain. But the power felt ancestral, very profound, I guess. When I was ready, I started to weave my own song. A song of cleansing, a song of disruption. I channeled the frequency of the crystals, amplified it with my own energy, and sent it out into the hive. The results, well, they were unsettling. The corrupted fauna convulsed, their biomechanical integrations flickering and dying. The Crystalline Ones stumbled, their movements becoming erratic and uncoordinated. The hive mind recoiled, its presence weakening, its control wavering. But it wasn't enough, not nearly enough. The hive was too strong, too entrenched. The cleansing frequency only served to irritate it, to provoke it. The Crystalline Ones began to hunt me, their movements more precise, their attacks more ferocious. So yeah, I had to adapt. To change my strategy, I couldn't fight the hive head on. I had to find a way to disrupt it from within, to sever its connection to the Nexus, to destroy the source of its power. And that's when I remembered the whispers of resistance, the faint, fragile sparks of rebellion within the corrupted rock runners. Perhaps, with the cleansing frequency as a catalyst, they could be ignited. Perhaps together we could strike a blow against the hive. I knew it was a long shot, but it was the only shot we had. The first step was finding a way to communicate with them, to reach them beneath the hive mind's influence. It was a challenge. Almost impossible, really. But I focused my energy, sent a telepathic plea. I needed their help. I knew they were in there. And then a response. Faint, distorted, but there. A glimmer of recognition, a flicker of hope, a whispered plea. Help us. From a rock runner, a tiny lost individual, with no control of their own body, and yet that spirit was still there. Waiting, hoping. I transmitted the concentrated, directed, a needle of energy, aimed directly at the rock runner's mind, and it worked. A shudder, a twitch, a moment of clarity, then another, and another, until I had a small band of rebels, a handful of corrupted rock runners, fighting against their own programming. It was a slow, agonizing process, a battle fought within their own minds. So we moved slowly, quietly, avoiding the Crystalline Ones, undermining the hive's infrastructure. We spread the cleansing frequency, liberating more rock runners. We sabotaged the hive's energy conduits, disrupting its flow of power. One crystal, one node at a time. We focused on hitting smaller clusters first, building confidence. Small strikes, targeted attacks. Not fights, sabotage. It was not an army. It was a sickness. It was a dangerous game. A single mistake could mean exposure, capture, and assimilation. But with each act of defiance, with each spark of rebellion, the hive's grip weakened. Its song of corruption grew fainter, and the whispers of the Ancestor Spirits grew stronger. You know, we press towards the heart of the hive, toward the Nexus. If that crystal can be destroyed, we can save them all. So the fight continues.